Hi, TAP 605 students. You're ready. You're ready to start your abbreviated structured literacy lesson plan, and I couldn't be more excited for you. You're going to do great. Let's take a look at this lesson plan, and I'll help you through it step by step. Let's first start with what is structured literacy? You were able to go through a three-part video series on the science of reading to kind of just get you the basics on what the science of reading is. Structured literacy utilizes that research and all of that information and supports it with the way that we present reading to our students. So, structured literacy is a highly explicit and systematic teaching approach based on the science of reading and the five pillars of literacy. We'll be utilizing the five pillars of literacy as we look at the components that we'll include in our abbreviated structured literacy lesson plan. All right, this lesson plan starts off with an engage. When you begin a lesson, you always want to somehow hook your students, get them excited about what they're going to be learning about. You can, if you have pre-K and kindergarten, or even first or second grade learners, you could have a stuffed animal that you bring in that maybe is related to the comprehension text you're going to read. Or maybe you dress up as one of the characters. Do something to engage your learners. If you have upper grade level learners, maybe you show a short video clip that leaves the students with a cliffhanger, and they just want to know more about what's going on in the video that connects somehow to your comprehension text. Find a way to engage your learners and to start your lesson off with a pow so that you have their attention and they want to know more. All right, the very first component that we plan to include in our abbreviated structured literacy lesson plan is the word study. Now, every structured literacy lesson plan has word study, and it has four different pieces: phonological awareness, phonics, syllable task, and morphology. Because this is your very first lesson, and because this is an abbreviated structured literacy lesson, we have broken down the different pieces of the word study by grade level. So if you are writing a lesson for pre-K or kindergarten, you will include a phonological awareness activity. If you are writing your lesson for first grade or second grade, you'll include a phonics activity, and so on. You can see on the slide. Third and fourth grade is syllable task, and fifth and sixth grade morphology. You will notice that in this module, there's a folder on word study, and it has each of these pieces and some resources for you where you can find activities that would be appropriate for your grade level in that area. Be sure to go back and look in the module for the resources. When you do your word study, make sure that you include a framework that is called I do, we do, you do. This sets your students up for success. I do means that you're going to give the information. We do means that we work on it together, and then you do, the students do something independently. Now, this doesn't always have to be a worksheet or something like that. Maybe you ask the students to turn and talk to their neighbor and to use the vocabulary word in a sentence. Maybe you ask the students to turn and talk to their neighbor and to say the long A word, or say a long A word. Something that pertains to your teaching that you've done, where you've told them how to do it, you've worked on it together, and then have them independently do something that represents that skill. All right, next is the vocabulary component. Vocabulary is going to be included in all of your lesson plans for every subject. So you will incorporate vocabulary in your science lesson, in your social studies lesson, and obviously, and of course, in your ELA lessons as well, your structured literacy lesson plans. For this lesson plan, if you teach pre-K or kindergarten, choose 1 to 3 vocabulary words, depending upon the level of your learners and even the time of year. You know, at the beginning of the school year, maybe you just want to focus on one vocabulary word. If it's towards the end or the spring, your students might be ready for two or three. And the reason we keep the numbers kind of small is so that you can intentionally teach that vocabulary and students can gain that in their knowledge base. Grades 1 through 6 choose 3 to 5 vocabulary words, and the same approach applies to you. You know your learners best. Use what's most appropriate. If you happen to have first graders that maybe could only handle 3 vocabulary words or 2, go ahead and do that. You know your learners best. Do what you know is best. So choose content vocabulary words that are in the text that you can include and explicitly teach. Choose words that you could also utilize throughout your entire day. Teaching vocabulary is extremely important as it just broadens students' awareness. It broadens their speech ability as well as their listening ability, as well as their reading ability and writing ability. Um, so first speak the word, say the word, and have students do the same thing. And then provide a student-friendly definition. Make sure the definition that you provide is one that is understandable. Sometimes the dictionary provides a definition that doesn't make sense. So make sure that the definition you provide applies to the context it's being used in the text, as well as that it's just easily understandable for your learners. You would also want to provide students with examples or pictures or even a video that might explain the word better and help them just to get a picture of what they're learning about. Explain the word's part of speech and how to use it in a sentence. Ask students some questions about the word. Have them give thumbs up and thumbs down if you're utilizing it correctly, or if you ask them yes or no questions about the word. And then ask students to use the word in a sentence with a partner. Make sure that you have a lot of interaction and that there are opportunities for 100% participation. Thumbs up, thumbs down is one way you can do that. Asking students to turn and talk to a partner. Everyone's speaking, and I know it's going to get loud and it might be noisy, but that's okay because everyone is participating. Maybe you ask them to speak in their whisper voices and make sure everybody whispers and give them a set amount of time in order to do this task. That will help keep everyone on task. And then when it's time to gain their attention again, they're ready. You could even set a timer. All right. The next section in your abbreviated structured literacy lesson plan is comprehension. So vocabulary and comprehension will be in all of your content lesson plans. Comprehension is when you are requiring students to think about the text that they're reading. So in the comprehension section, include 4 to 5 questions that encourage students to think about the text. Ask them questions that will make them or help them to make connections with the text and the learning that's going on. That will help them to retain the information and to learn it better. You could also reference the word study concept and the vocabulary words. So make sure that you bring attention to those vocabulary words that you've already explicitly taught and help students to notice that they are in the text that you're reading. This just helps bring everything together. And in the word study, you can bring your word study concept in there as well. If you're talking about long A words, then you highlight and make sure that you discuss the long A words that are in the text as well. All right, the final piece is the assessment. So your assessment is exciting because this is where students get to show you that they understand and also that they're meeting the objective that you've written. So the assessment that you provide could be an exit ticket. It could be pictures that students have to put in order that show that they understand the beginning, middle, and end of the story. It can look different ways. So look at the assessment resources in the module and think about what makes the most sense for your students. All right, and then future content knowledge just kind of, it gets you thinking about, after you've taught this lesson, what are your students ready for next? Where can you take them next? Will they need another lesson in order to understand? Would you maybe go to a different concept? Be thinking ahead all the time about where you're going. The assessment, of course, is going to drive that decision. If your students don't do well on your assessment and they don't show understanding, then you're going to need to teach that standard and that objective again. If everyone understands, then it's time to move on and go on to another standard and objective. So keep all of this in mind as you're creating your abbreviated structured literacy lesson plan. I know it's a lot, but if you break it down piece by piece, I know you can do it. We will be having some guiding meetings where I can help you with understanding some of these pieces if you're not quite sure. So be looking for your internship instructor to put some information about meetings that are going to be available for all of you. I look forward to looking at your lesson plan and giving you encouragement and feedback, and I can't wait to see what you do. Have fun, and I will talk to you soon.